everyone. Welcome to That Bible Guy. I had a fabulous response last week to the video on dealing with disunity in the church. Such a good response that I wanted to follow up this video on the basis of a point that was made last week. Point 7, if I remember correctly, was all about building vision, not uniformity in the church. That was the point that resonated with a lot of people. Building vision, not uniformity in the church. Many people had commented on this, and we're going to look at that today. So that's the title of the video. Before we do this, I just want to say something based on a few responses I had and on several conversations I had about building unity in the church. I just want to say and remind us and remind myself that we need to deal with conflict. Just a couple of things on that we probably already know quite well is to bring to the person whatever conflict you have with them. Matthew 18 verse 15 says, if you have anything against someone, bring it to them. Don't be going around sharing it with other people. So watch out for that. Watch out for having a critical spirit. You're verbalizing a critical spirit towards someone in your church or outside in a different church within our family of churches that we haven't brought to that person, but that we're sharing with other people, and we haven't given them an opportunity to defend themselves. So just watch out for that one. I know I need to myself. I have to be honest. And also, just to say, if when you bring something up, you feel like they're disrespectful or their attitude isn't right or they don't speak to you in the right way or listen to you, well then bring that up as well then. Make that the thing that you need to talk about. When I'm dealing with my kids and I hear a disrespectful attitude, well, let me stop telling you off for what I'm talking about and let's deal with the spirit that you've got. I share this with my wife when she has interactions with family members. Say, that's now the issue. And what we need a healthy mutual respect from both parties in any disagreement that we have. So just a quick one. I am going to do a follow-up video, maybe next week, on dealing with conflict. Really important, I'm sure you'll agree. But let's look at building vision, not uniformity in the church. So uniformity is this idea that we're all, we're all supposed to be the same. We all just churn out copies of ourselves and we all just present, act and think exactly the same way. The reality is we're not all the same. And in the churches and in the world, we know this. We don't all think and act the same way, yet we can still hold to the same convictions, but think and act differently in some ways. And we'll do a lot more follow-up videos on this topic because it is massive. But it is possible to think and act differently, but all be followers of Christ and not necessarily be uniform. And it's quite dangerous if we're aiming for uniformity. And of course, the reality is no one would really claim that that's what they're aiming for, but it can be quite subtle. It was done against me many years ago in the church. I remember we were going away on a weekend away to Dublin here in Ireland. And I remember having plans with great time with God, great quiet times planned out in the morning, time in His Word. I was reading Isaiah the prophet, I think, and I couldn't wait to do this. And I had a brother with me whose goal that weekend was to go fishing with the other brothers, spend time with them, and he wanted to go at a certain time, and that could be the only time. And I was like, no, I've got this plan. This is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to spend time with the brothers. But he wanted me to do it a certain way, and it almost became a spiritual issue that I wouldn't do it the way he wanted. And I resisted. And I felt like I was being maybe prideful at the time. But in hindsight, I know myself, like I wasn't avoiding fellowship or loving brothers and sisters. I just had this plan to put God first. And I was want to stick with that. I was weak in myself, and I still am. And I need that time with God every morning. That's a good thing to need. So, but the brothers maybe wanting to produce a level of uniformity with how we act and behave that particular weekend. For me, that wasn't right. The other thing where I've done it on others, though, is on maybe Sunday services where I like to have a shirt and trousers on. Sometimes jeans if I haven't got the right trousers for a time there, to be fair. But I remember in certain days I see maybe people up speaking in T-shirts or coming to church in T-shirts or, slack clothes, not very smart. And I remember in my mind thinking, that's not a very spiritual thing to do. You mustn't be very spiritual. That's not wrong of me. That is wrong of me. Let me declare that. Someone could be in shabby clothes, as the scriptures say, be very spiritually, very much spiritual at heart. So that was wrong of me. I was wanting to be literal uniform. They should all be wearing shirts and trousers. There was a time when we all wore the same shirts and trousers. It's not a good idea. It's not good to be uniform. Definitely in that way, it is not good to be uniform. So I've done it. It's been done on me, and I've done it on others. Let me know if it's been done on you, or if you have done this on others. That idea of wanting everything to be uniform, but the outcome of subtly wanting things to be fairly uniform or more than they should be is that what we end up doing is we end up creating new rules so that we can be even more alike. Rules that God didn't give in His Word, but that we end up making up ourselves, like the Pharisees, or like our own movement pre 2003. This is something that we done. We came up with rules that were man made, good intentioned, with lots of wisdom, and made them God's rules. If you don't follow this rule, you're not following God, even though I made that. We learned from this and we moved on, I'm glad to say. However, they can come back. But to be honest with you, I would probably be more fearful that we maybe went more the other way than that particular way at the moment, but it still can come back, and I'll deal with that some more in time as well, where our problem used to be uniformity and maybe trying to make rules upon rules. That the swing the other way can be being super liberal, which we'll come to now. But the opposite of uniformity, what is the opposite of uniformity? It's variation. It's one of the several words you could use. Variation, that we're all different. We all have our own unique characteristics, skill sets, traits, personalities, and we're all different and we have variation. That we can all be ourselves. Is this a good thing? Is this what we want in the church? Maybe. It may be. It depends. We can all drift. Variation is a good thing, absolutely. But is it good? We can all drift away. Our heart is deceitful above all things. We can deceive ourselves in our own life. Due to hardships, difficulties, circumstances, we can make a lot of difference to us. So, what can we do? Is it good to be different? Well, we must hold each other accountable to the scriptures. This is what we all need to do in order to prevent uniformity, but also avoid drifting away, as we must hold each other accountable to the scriptures. If you look in Colossians, well, we know Ephesians 4:25 says that we need to speak the truth in love. Colossians 3:16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, gratitude in your hearts to God." So we need to teach and admonish one another, the scriptures say. But Paul went a bit further than this even. And in 1 Corinthians 5, verse 12, we know he talked about how, look, don't associate with someone who's saying they're a brother, but they're continuing to live in obvious sin, almost trampling on the grace of God, saying all the right things, but not living the right way. He says, don't associate with them. Don't allow them to feel like this is acceptable behavior. And he says in verse 12, what business is it of mine to judge those outside the church? We know this. We won't be judging the world in terms of, why are you not living like this? Well, I don't ascribe to the scriptures. But it says, are you not to judge those inside? God will judge those outside. We know we need to watch out for each other. Use the word judge. We don't like it today, but we know what it means. It's well intentioned. It's all done in love. We watch out for each other. We hold each other accountable. Obviously, the better a friendship, the easier it makes it, in love. We got to watch out for each other, and we must not overlook things that each other are doing. So yes, there's variation, not uniformity, but it depends upon looking out for one another. If a family member of mine's getting in trouble in some way, or my children, I've got to watch out for them. I need to have conversations, find out what's going on, and try to help them. So we hold each other accountable, but not to our standard or our interpretation. Interpretation is another video for another time, but not to our standard. That's what we need to watch out for, and not to necessarily our unique interpretation, if we have unique interpretations of Scripture. And as I've said before, and many other talks I've heard in the past that say this, in terms of holding someone else accountable, it can only be in line with their understanding. In other words, we try to share scriptures with them. If they don't agree with what we've said, we're not going to be holding them accountable to that. We would still be saying that we think that's the way they need to see it. But we can only expect someone to follow in line with their understanding. And again, that's another big conversation. But nonetheless, hold each other accountable to what the scriptures teach. So, what do we need to look at now? That's uniformity and avoiding uniformity. What can we do to build vision while avoiding uniformity? What can we do to build vision in the church? Whatever role we're in, how do we build vision? How do we get part of others who are wanting to build vision through us as well? Well, for me, helping involved in leadership in the Belfast church, my goal here at this point with the disciples we have is we need to grow this church. We need to seek and save more souls and have a culture where we're reaching out to lost people who need help and forgiveness of God. How do I build a church? And having that vision, I want to see more churches on this island. Currently have 2 churches on this island. Northern Ireland, where I am, I want to see several more churches in my lifetime. That is my goal. That is my vision. And I believe it's something in line with the scriptures. So how do we build vision though? What things do we do that can help build vision? Well, I've got 9 things today, not even more than last week. I've got 9 things this week. 9 things that I want to share that helps to build vision. First one, whatever our vision is, it needs to be in line with the scriptures. Start with the obvious one. It needs to be in line with the scriptures, obviously in line with God's promises. It might sound obvious, but what that means is it's not in line with your vision, in line with the scriptures. So the vision that we have, as weird as this sounds, counterintuitive, it's not really our vision, it's a vision of the scriptures. It's a vision that's been implanted by the scriptures. And what I mean by that is that we're not trying to sell everyone else the vision that we have that we can't articulate from the scriptures. Whatever our vision is, it should be obvious from the scriptures, and we can articulate that, showing the scriptures to make it clear that our vision is in line with the scriptures. That's our starting point. The second thing then that we need to do going forward is resolve old wounds, conflicts, issues with other people. It says in Matthew 5, in order for us to go forward here, we need to resolve old wounds that may be there and festering. Matthew 5:23 says, therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar and there remember your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Like I said last week, do all you can as far as it depends on you, but resolve old wounds. They will impede your vision. Like a bit of dirt on your glasses, you need to try and get that off. So resolve old wounds. The third thing then is emphasize that the reality of the vision depends on God, not on us. So we have a vision, we think it's in line with the scriptures, but it doesn't depend on our work, talent, skill, ability, money, drive. I've got some strengths I've mentioned there, and I think sometimes that they're good, but it's not up to me and it's not dependent on me. It's dependent on God. It sounds obvious again, but it's just realizing and reminding each other of that fact. Fourth thing then is, along with the vision, work out what part you play with that vision. What do you bring to the table in order to accomplish whatever that is? Is it your time? Is it the resources you have available? Is it your specific gifts and talents? What is it? What part do you play in order to fulfill that vision? God wants to use all parts of the body in different ways. I was speaking to a brother yesterday who feels a little bit out of what's going on in the church, and I reminded him, you have many resources that others don't have and a unique way to bring to the ministry in order to build the ministry here. So the fifth thing then, in terms of building vision, is connect with people who already have that vision, who are already doing what you want to do. There are ministries around the world that I want to connect with more because they've got a healthy view of seeking and saving the lost, building their church, but also a strong teaching ministry where the disciples are strong in the word, they know what they believe and why they believe it, and they're able to share that with the word as well. The sixth one is visualize what your vision looks like. So yeah, you've got a vision. It seems strange you wouldn't know what that looks like. I'm not a good artist, but if you could draw that out, what would it look like? What does that look like? It's one of my favorite questions. For me, what does my vision look like? Is that 3 more churches in my lifetime? What does that actually look like? The seventh one then, really important going forward and having a vision, is remaining open to the input of others. It's not just your way or the highway. You've got a vision that's came from God, but what do the other people think? How can they help? In my teaching ministry and the growth of my teaching ministry, the amount of times I've had input from other people where I've thought, why did I not think of that? Why did that not come to my mind? God used others to open my mind to build things. In fact, a lot of what I've done is entirely dependent on the skill and ability of other people. Number 8 then, Share, share, share your vision. Share your vision with as many people as you can. Talk to people all the time about what you see. And we'll come to the last one now. So share your vision. And then the last one, number 9, don't enforce your vision on others. See what vision they have. So we're not going out and everyone must have our vision. We hope they do. We want them to. But just like Jesus doesn't enforce his relationship on us, we don't enforce it on others, but we want to see what their vision is. Ask them, what do you see? What would you like to see in the church in 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 20 years? What would you like to see in your lifetime? What would you like to see be built? What weaknesses do you see right now? What needs are there right now? What do you visualize for that? Some people do lack vision, and those of us who have vision will need to help them to see that. But ask first, what is your vision? And then we're not necessarily enforcing our vision on others. I'm not saying that we dampen our vision down in any way, because seeking and saving the lost, that God wants many people to be saved, is a pretty obvious one to me. But I want to see where other people are at, and that's something I need to be thinking about in the next wee while. So just a reminder of the 9 things that help to build vision. It needs to be in line with the scriptures. It's not all about our vision, but what's in line with the scriptures. Resolve an old wounds. The second one. Third one, emphasize that the reality of it depends on God, not on us. The fourth thing, work out what part you play in accomplishing this vision. Fifth, connect the people who are already doing it. 6, be able to visualize what that actually looks like in practice. 7, remain open to the input of others, not just your way or the highway. 8, share. And then the last one, number 9, don't enforce it on others. See what vision other people have and help to steer them along with the vision that you have, which is in line with the scriptures. So that's a little bit today. There's so much more we can do. Be back again soon. I hope that we will do something on dealing with conflict. But that's it today in terms of building vision, not uniformity in the church. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what helped you. Let me know what difficulties you're having right now. And we can help to steer on and maybe help producing other videos very soon. Thanks for listening. Please if you liked it, please share it on for other people. Please subscribe to that Bible Guy if you haven't already, and let's get his word out there.